What's up, y'all? It's your boy Magnus.Magneto from Now and Never Crew, and in this video we're going over my top 5 freeze tips for beginners that everyone should know. Let's go. Number 1, identifying proper stab placement. So this is a big one because I've had a lot of students ask me the difference between like a stab, a side chair, an air chair, a baby freeze. Also, when you start going to single-handed baby freeze positions, it can get kind of confusing on where you're supposed to stab. So I'm about to break it down for you guys right now. All your baby freeze stabs will be along your leg line right here. Double armed, like this, on your leg, okay? Single arm, even if it's front, like this. Here, single arm back, here, yeah? Even if you do switch baby freeze like this, you're still gonna be in your leg. Right here, you just transfer it down and it becomes just above your stab line, because now that transfers into our second one, which is your stabs. All your stabs will be facing the ground, okay? As long as it's facing the ground, it's a stab position. So that can be pilot freeze, turtle freeze, or tabletop position, depending on however you name it, okay? So your stabs will always be here, 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 always on that line. Your legs can twist wherever they want, but your arms will be facing the ground, stabbed into your stomach. As soon as you stab here, it's something else, okay? Which goes into the something else, which is your side chair and your chair positioning stabs, okay? So your chair positioning stabs is all along this line here, okay? So not here, because you got your stomach line, which is your stab, your turtle, etc. You've got your baby, which is here. Then you've got your side chair and your chair, which is in your back line and your hip line, okay? So that's gonna be right here on either side for your chair, and then on the sides for a side chair. If you're doing an air chair, it's back. If you're doing a side chair, it's side, hence it being called a side chair. So all positioning is like this. This is a side chair positioning because I'm on the side of my body, okay? So same if I'm like here, side chair. All right, if I go back to here, air chair, traditional chair, yeah? So the reason why I think it's important to understand this is because if you understand where to properly stab your body, it becomes a lot easier to get the freeze. Next one. So that's stab positioning. Now let's talk about your leg positioning, okay? So I call this kind of like leg tilting. It's literally like if you have an axle like this, you're kind of moving your legs like that, okay? So depending what freeze you want in baby freeze, if I'm like trying to do a basic baby freeze and my freeze is like up here or my legs are down here, or sometimes a lot of people struggle and their legs are all over the place, it gets challenging. So depending on what you want to do, you want to have the proper leg positioning for that, okay? So if we tilt up, it becomes something different. We tilt down, it becomes something different. They all have their main points. So for the traditional, you want to have your legs flat down like this. Don't have them up, don't have them crazy, anything here. Because once you have them flat, you can do all your switches like this really easily, okay? Because your legs are solid, you know where they want to be. Same for positioning like turtle or stab, okay? You don't want your legs up here. Some people try and do it like this, okay? And they struggle a lot. You want to have your legs in this butterfly position like this, but down here, like this, boom, okay? And then if you're gonna go one-handed, you want to tilt to one side, tilt to one side. Because if you tilt to one side, then you can hold one-handed, and it transfers your weight really into the proper positioning. So that one side looks like this position, boom, like this, okay? So either here, center, or here, one leg facing the other leg. Now let's go to like a chair position, like this. Some people really struggle with their chairs because they try to chair kind of on the side here like this, and they like can't get their leg over. So again, you want to identify the proper positioning. So what is that with your legs? Well, if I want to do a traditional chair, I need my weight fully rotated backwards in this position, okay? If I want to go to an air chair, I need to do that same position, pull my legs in, right? So if I want to do a traditional chair, my legs would be like this, facing straight downwards. My line's like that. If I'm going up, they're going in. If I'm doing like a side chair balance, I want to again flatten out, like this, because then that's pushing my weight flat, right? So how we manipulate our legs really matters like this, because it's gonna dictate where our weight is held on. So whether your legs should be like this, like this, like this, or like this, that's up to you depending on the freeze. But usually if it's a balancing position, you want your legs flat. Now there's two types of flat. You have your twisted flat, which is like your baby freeze, your turtle, etc. Then you have your flat flat. Your flat is for like your up and downs, like your side chair with your head off the ground style balance. And that you want kind of be flat and like more flat like this because you're in that same chair position, but you're adding that flatness into it, okay? Now you can apply this concept to every freeze you do, especially when you start to get to more advanced and unique freezes. Like for instance, let's say I want to do like a Kid David style freeze like this. Now if my legs are like this, it's kind of hard to balance, but if I flatten myself out, then my weight gets really distributed well, and then I can balance here, right? Because my weight is flat. So when you start to go into advanced freezes, this beginner basic mentality and tip is gonna help you way later, because you're gonna be creating these kind of weird abstract freezes, and you're gonna be using these little tools as tricks to allow your body to get them. It wouldn't be a tips video for freezes if I didn't add breath control in here. It's so important, especially for beginners. I feel like forgetting to breathe is such a huge thing. And it was one of the big things that helped me a lot with understanding how to really master a freeze. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you guys a couple kind of tips, pointers for actually learning how to breathe in your freezes. Number one, do a supported version of the freeze so that you can breathe in it first. So let's say you get to here and you're like, I can't breathe. Well, then do it like this first. Just stab and get comfortable breathing there first, okay? Then slowly take one off, breathe, then another one off, breathe. Don't rush to the final result. If you can only hold the final result for a second or two, try to work on the progression beforehand to allow your body more time to get comfortable in that position, okay? Number two with that, flexing your stomach is really important, especially for all stabbed freezes. If you're not stabbing your stomach, it's gonna be hard because you're gonna be squishing your actual gut and you're gonna be cutting off your airflow, and it's just gonna hurt. So what you wanna do is you wanna flex your stomach and make sure it's engaged and then stab. Now on that point, a lot of people when they flex, they hold their breath. So what you wanna do is you wanna flex your stomach, but then start talking. So practice having a flexed tight stomach. You can do this with all your body parts too. Flex your arms, flex your legs, whatever, flex everything and keep breathing. If you can't breathe, start talking. Because as you see, I'm fully flexed, but I'm talking to you still, right? Because then whatever position you're using and whatever position you're in, if you're flexed, then you're gonna be tight, your body's gonna be solid, you're not gonna be squishing in like this. Because if I squish in like this, it starts going too deep into my stomach and it hurts, okay? Because then you're hitting your actual internal organs, which you don't wanna do. So make sure you're practicing breathing in each position. And again, how you do that to recap. Do a easier version of the freeze first and make sure you can breathe comfortably there. Okay, breathing comfortably, either you're gonna do like that in a best case scenario, and a worst case scenario, okay, you're gonna be doing a sharper breath to maybe just get a little bit in and out because you can't comfortably hold it that long enough to where you can get a full solid breath in. So that's super important for your practice, for your balance, your control, all of it. Make sure you have proper breathing. Fourth one, we're talking about weight control. Now I've talked about weight control in a more intermediate and advanced sense of how to balance into one-handed stuff. But what I want to talk to you guys about today is actually how to use the ground to manipulate your weight, okay? So rather than the basic weight control of, oh, if I bring my weight to this side and I lean it all the way over here, then it's gonna be easy to hold, okay? So that's pretty obvious, but what's less obvious is, for instance, one of my students, when she would do a baby freeze and she'd try to start switching her legs, she'd slowly fall to one arm, like this. So she'd be switching, and then she'd slowly be falling down there until she collapsed. Now that reason was she was thinking of her legs, but she wasn't thinking about her arms. So I want to kind of remind you guys that you need to think about all parts of your body, and you need to also understand how to stabilize yourself. So let's say you're standing up like this, just in this position, and you're like kicking this leg. If I kick this leg and my momentum's taking me this way, I'm gonna eventually fall. So what I have to do to stop that is I have to push with this leg down and engage to counterbalance the kicking. So I have to make sure this is solid so that when I'm kicking, this is actually holding myself into place. Same with like your baby freeze. Let's say you're trying to do a baby freeze and you're trying to do some crazy stuff with your legs, but your arm's not engaged or doing anything, you're gonna fall because the momentum's pushing you a different way. So how I counteract that is I use this arm to push and grip the ground like this, and I push my body into center. So if you're doing all these crazy things, right? If I'm kicking this way as far as I can, I have to push with this arm so that I stay solid, okay? That way, I'm not gonna be falling into that arm. So when you're in any freeze, and again, this goes to advanced stuff too, and you're trying to maybe do a thread, you're trying to do some weird stuff, okay? Or if it's just a basic balance, understand that all parts of your body work together. Let's say I'm doing a shoulder freeze and I wanna hit a shoulder freeze, but every time I start raising my legs up, the weight of my legs is pushing me backwards like this. How do I stop that? Well, I stop that by, again, counterbalancing by leaning into my arms. So I keep my arms solid, that way my legs can do whatever they want because this is so solid, this connection to the ground, that no matter what I do with my legs, it's gonna stay stable there. So you have to make sure you're thinking about that. What are the rest of your body parts doing? Don't be lazy with that, because if you start lazy with your foundation with that, then when you try to do more advanced stuff like threading shoulder freezes or spins or whatever, if you don't understand how to stabilize, then you're gonna fall and have issues later down the road. So if I wanna start doing like threading and whatever I wanna do here, if this is not solid, I'm literally just relying on my core. And let's say you don't have a very strong core, you're just gonna fall. So I need to use this hand to push down. My head's even pushing into the ground like this. You notice I'm gonna lean into the ground, so when I'm threading and doing whatever I wanna do and holding the freeze, I'm not gonna be moving because this is pushing down so hard, okay? So something people don't talk about much, but a very important thing is know how to stabilize your body by engaging your muscles, gripping the ground, pushing down, pushing away, and or also sinking into parts of the ground with your body. Woo! Lastly, let's talk about hand positioning. Now this one's actually a lot bigger than I would think it would be, and maybe there's a freeze that you could never do. Maybe you're a beginner, maybe you just started breaking, maybe you've been breaking for a long time, and there's a freeze that you could never really achieve. Whether it be a beginner freeze or advanced freeze, your hand positioning can sometimes completely take it from I can never do this freeze to I can hit it every single time. So I'm gonna give you another example. One of my students one time, he was trying to do headstand to baby freeze, but he had his hands straight on like this. So whenever he went down, his arms couldn't really hold him. One direction, he kept falling off because his hands had no stability because they were in an unstable position. So we kept troubleshooting it for a while, and then I was like, yo, try rotating your hands this way a little bit more. And he did that, and now he could hit it every single time. And it was literally, he did this freeze for like 3 weeks. He was trying to get this combination for his choreo, and he couldn't get it. But then as soon as I told him to do this, everything opened up for him, and he never missed it again, right? Simply because when he rotated his arms could bend in the position that they needed to be in to hold. His elbows could stabilize on his legs so that they could hold. Now this goes for all your positions, okay? If you're trying to hold whatever position, like let's say I'm trying to do like a transfer style freeze, like my hand's on my leg and I'm like, okay, I wanna bring myself up here, but if I do this, like I can't really hold that, and there's no way I can hold it one-handed. Well, if I rotate my hand out here, so my foot has a little bit of a base, then suddenly it could become something that I could hold, like that, you see? Boom, now I can actually hold the freeze because I rotated my hand to that positioning. Now this goes with all freezes. Usually, for most of your positions with breaking, you always want to think diagonal or sideways. There's very few movements where we're actually forwards like this. Even for handstand holds and stuff, usually there's a little bit of a rotation, okay? So really be aware of that with your freezes. Sometimes you may not be able to hold a freeze and you may think it's impossible, but it's actually that you just don't have the optimal hand positioning. So again, let's say I'm trying to do let's say I'm trying to get into my side chair like this, okay? And I'm like, that felt really awkward, or maybe you can't even do it because maybe my hand position was like this, right? Well, how does that even make sense? Because if I'm trying to stab in my arm, and my elbow, when I bend it, goes in the wrong direction, how do I expect that to happen, right? So if I rotate my elbow in, then when I go into it, it goes right to where it needs to be, okay? Now that's an obvious example, but it goes with everything that you're doing. Really make sure your hand positioning is correct. And if you really don't know, try them all. It doesn't hurt, right? Just don't jump into it so you're gonna break your wrist. But if your hand positioning like this doesn't work, rotate it. Doesn't work. Rotate it. Doesn't work. Rotate it. Doesn't work. Try the other way. Try the other way. Like for inverts and stuff, this positioning works better than this position for the most part. So play with it, because wherever your arm positioning is, when you bend it, you're gonna get to a different position. If I go here, my elbow goes out. If I go here, my elbow goes in at this angle. If I go here, my elbow comes in at this angle, right? So where do you want your elbows to line up? And where are you trying to hold yourself with? If you're trying to hold yourself low, maybe you want this position, or maybe here. If you're trying to go inside, maybe like an invert and open up your shoulders, maybe you need this positioning, or outside, right? So really be aware of this and don't be afraid to play with changing your positioning around. Because the more you troubleshoot it, the more you'll find the exact version that works best for you. All right, guys, last is a little bonus. Don't forget to flex. Not flexing like, yo, my Gucci ring, my cars, yo, what's up, Instagram, hey. More so in the instance of don't forget to flex and engage your body. The biggest thing I find a lot of people don't do is they don't realize that breaking, you have to physically engage, physically kick, physically hold a tight position. If you're not doing this, most of the time you're gonna fall out of a freeze, especially for freezes, right? So if we, for instance, let's go to a shoulder freeze. If I just jump into a shoulder freeze, my momentum is gonna take me wherever I wanna go. I have to physically engage and flex. Let's say I'm stuck down here, I'm kind of falling a lot. Well, if I use that leg tilt and then I flex, now I'm gonna hold this forever, right? And the same kind of thing goes for everything. Actually put energy in, actually flex, try hard, be a try hard, but also train smart. Try to apply these tools, change it up, because if you're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, that's insanity. Einstein, what up? This is your boy, Magnus.Magneto from Now and Never Crew. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and smash button for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Love is love.